Hello, I'm Naomi Matthiessen and I head up DEFRA Trees and Forestry Policy along with Bella Murphy, my job share partner. So I want to thank the Midlands Forest Network for inviting me to speak today. I'm really delighted to have this opportunity to set out actually why this initiative feels so exciting and important in the context of what we're trying to achieve in government. So trees remain at the forefront of government's plans to achieve net zero and nature recovery. And John already mentioned the fact that we now have that commitment baked into law through our statutory tree target, which will see tree and woodland cover increase to at least 16.5% of total area of England by 2050, which is equivalent to an area the size of around Cheshire being covered with additional trees. So it's a stretching target. We know it's a stretching target. There's been stuff in the news recently about how stretching it is and how we're doing against it. But from my perspective, I can see the progress that we're making. Our England Trees Action Plan has led to nearly 15 million trees being planted over the last 3 years. And last year, we achieved the highest planting rate in England for nearly a decade. But the outcomes that I think you can achieve here with the Midlands Forest Network go so much wider than supporting net zero and nature recovery. And that's the exciting thing about working on trees. And I'm conscious that we need to have time to have our panel discussion, so I'm going to keep it short. There are lots of things that excite me about this initiative. I'm going to just pick up on 3 that particularly excite me from a kind of wider contextual perspective. So the first is about access to nature. And as you've already heard, the Midlands is one of the least wooded parts of the UK. So growing and establishing more trees in this area will have a huge impact on creating more natural spaces close to where people live and bringing those huge social and economic benefits that we get from contact with nature. And I think we all know probably the value of the experience that we get when we visit a woodland. I think what's exciting now is how much we can back that up with research findings. One of my favourites is a piece that Forest Research did recently that shows that regular visits to woodlands can save the NHS approximately 141 million in treatment costs associated with mental health illnesses. So there's a huge benefit to be harnessed there. And access to nature and woodlands in particular is a key priority for DEFRA's new Secretary of State, Steve Barclay. And in November last year, we published our Woodland Access Implementation Plan, which sets out a range of measures to improve the quantity, quality and permanency of access to woodlands. And the Midlands Forest Network has the potential to connect millions more people with trees and nature close to where they live, and also to help gather more evidence about those important social and economic benefits that that brings. And that evidence-bringing perspective, I think, is also a really key aspect of this. The second thing I wanted to talk about in terms of excitement is the partnership working element. So over the time that I've been working on trees and forestry in DEFRA, the lesson that I've learned is about the power of partnership. And the progress that we've made on woodland creation in the last few years is down to the strengths of the partners that we've worked with and the partners that have worked so hard to deliver against all the odds often. And the generosity of individual partners in sharing their experiences and best practice and supporting each other. And that's why I'm really delighted to see the strength of the partnership working that's emerging and sits behind the Midlands Forest Network. The breadth of experience across the organisations involved will be a real strength, I think, and will help the network to deliver on the objectives that John set out so clearly just now. And then the third thing that I wanted to highlight, the final thing really, is about private investment in nature. So I'm responsible for the Nature for Climate Fund. It comes to an end in 2025. We know that our key schemes will move forward into the environmental land management process, but we also know that relying on public funding alone is not enough, and that our ambitious targets will only be delivered if we can harness long-term private investment. But that's challenging, and John articulated why it's challenging. And so actually the opportunity that the Midlands Forest Network has to test bringing in private investment at scale is really exciting. And I think that opportunity is really important, and it's great to see, specifically in the plans for the Midlands Forest Network, the thinking about mapping where public and private investment in nature-based solutions, particularly woodland, can best deliver on all those benefits, the community benefits, supply chain resilience, green infrastructure, flood risk reduction. I think that will help make the investment opportunities so much more tangible. So, I'm absolutely delighted that DEFRA is able to support the Midlands Forest Network, and I'm looking forward to being involved in the journey and hearing more about the projects that get delivered under this partnership, and also importantly learning from the best practice that I know this network will develop. And I was reflecting as people were talking earlier on the fact that when I started my role in trees and woodlands, we did a visioning exercise with our team. It was a bit off the wall, they thought we were a bit crazy. But the vision that really strongly came to my mind was that as a result of all the things that we're doing now, I would one day be able to walk the breadth of the country in woodlands that have been created through this period. And it really feels like the Midlands Forest Network is starting to see that become a reality. So good luck and thank you.